Welcome to the show, everybody. This is the Far's Show presented by MyBookie, MyBookie. Bang, let's switch it over. There we go. Welcome in once again. My name is Mark Farzin. It's wonderful to have you along for this ride. Phillies win 2-3 against the Washington Nationals. Normally, I wouldn't be as excited about that, but being that the Washington Nationals have been a thorn in the side of the New York Mets and Philadelphia Phillies, I'm going to go ahead and say whoopity-doo. They win the series. Some phenomenal starting pitching in this series for your Phillies on the heels of getting the bad to worse news about Zach Wheeler, 6 to 8 weeks to recover from surgery and thoracic outlet syndrome. Good Lord. Awful. As far as the Phillies odds go, I haven't changed. Nothing's changed as far as I'm concerned with the Phillies. I was never worried about pitching. And, oh, drat, now they have to rely on another Cy Young Award pitch, Cy Young candidate, that is, in Christopher Sanchez. And Ranger Suarez seems to be pretty damn good as well. And Jesus Luzardo seems to figure things out a little bit there. And I'm not overly optimistic on Aaron Nola. However, at least getting a quality start after getting rocked by the same ball club in his first start back since coming off the 60-day IL. Yeah, I'm going to be a little bit encouraged. And also I'm going to be encouraged by a 94-mile-per-hour fastball. So we'll get to the Phillies in this huge series that they have coming up here against the New York Metropolitans starting tonight. All 3 games, 7-10 in Flushing, New York for the next 3 days. And then they got the series with the Atlanta Braves as well. Then they're going to face the Mets again for a 4-game series coming up in a couple of weeks. So we're going to be looking at that one as well. Your Philadelphia Eagles, the last time we spoke, they did a little thing on Friday there. They played a little preseason game at 7:30 there at night. And Kyle McCord, he started that game, and then he ended up playing the entire game. After the game, Nick Sirianni said that what went into that is that they have plenty of tape on Dorian Thompson-Robinson. They didn't have plenty of tape on Kyle McCord. So they had pretty much already made the decision. If you're not playing at all in the final preseason game, like if you're not even dressed for the final preseason game in a lot of cases, that's either really, really good or really, really bad. And in this case, for Dorian Thompson-Robinson, that was really, really bad. Kyle McCord didn't impress me in the game. There were a couple of throws that he made that I went, oh, hey, there's an NFL throw, that kind of thing. There's the athleticism you saw at Syracuse. There's some good throws. There's a nice little sidearm sling there to Ben Von Sumeren for, I think it was an 11-yard gain. That was a nice play there. The interception he threw was just every bit of a rookie quarterback, every bit of late-round rookie quarterback. Typically what you would expect from a man of his position of where he was drafted. Throwing into double coverage on 1st and 10 deep down the sideline. No reason for it. No reason for it whatsoever. As far as the rest of the game went, well, anyway, to finish up about the quarterback. Tanner McKee was reported he's got a finger issue. He's got a finger. For him to find out it's a thumb issue, that's scary. So the Eagles made the trade yesterday for Sam Howell. And I saw this news yesterday. I was, up. I was watering the plants, and I get the alert on the phone. I look at it. I was like, oh, Sam Howell. I was like, oh, that's a good move. What the hell's wrong with Tanner McKee? That was the first thing I thought of. How bad is this really for Tanner McKee? It turns out it ain't great. And the fact that they went out and they got a guy who has been a starter in the league, a guy that, by the way, Sam Howell, who threw for almost 4,000 yards a couple of years ago and engineered 2 comebacks against the Eagles, one that they won, one that they lost, but still 2 late. How's this? Oh, the Commanders come back and make a game of it late against the Eagles? Go figure. Well, Sam Howell threw for 3,900 yards. Also threw 21 interceptions that year for the Washington Commanders. And now he's on the Philadelphia Eagles. And how about this? Not only did the Eagles acquire him in a trade, giving up, by the way, there we go. Sam Howell, for a 5th and a 7th round pick, they also get a 6th round pick back in return for Sam Howell. Not only that, they trade him, they make the trade with the Vikings. And now this opens the door, or rather, it opened the door for Carson Wentz to go back into the NFL and also back with the team he grew up rooting for in the Minnesota Vikings. Now, why is that relevant at all? Not just because Carson Wentz obviously played here in Philadelphia and is an interesting chapter in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles. But if Sam Howell stays here in Philadelphia and Tanner McKee comes back and Tanner McKee plays healthy, then indirectly, Tanner McKee could get flipped for another pick. Meaning Carson Wentz would continue to be the gift that kept on giving, even though this would obviously be indirect. Him going to the Vikings, opening up the spot for the Eagles to get Sam Howell would then in turn open it. Stay with me here. Follow the blue tape. Follow the blue string here. Would then open it up for the Eagles to be able to trade Tanner McKee for another pick. Now that ain't happening now because Tanner McKee's hurt. But down the line, first thought ahead. But no, I think it's a good move by Howie Roseman. It obviously tells you a lot about Tanner McKee and where he's at injury-wise. But all in all, your quarterback room got a lot better. Because before this, you were going into week one with Kyle McCord as your backup quarterback. Feel good about that? I don't feel good about that. Now, Kyle McCord might turn into be like a decent backup quarterback down the line. But if you watched the preseason, if you watched, training camp, you watched it and went, Eagles could improve here. Yeah, I feel good about Tanner McKee, but after that, it feels like a bit of a drop-off. Keep in mind, last year, just for perspective, you went into it with a guy who had been a starting quarterback in the NFL and a first-round draft pick in Kenny Pickett, and you also had Tanner McKee there waiting in the wings just in case anything happened. This time around, Tanner McKee for week one, not available. Then Kyle McCord feels like a bit of a drop-off. Now it's Jalen Hurts to a guy who has started in the NFL and has already done well. I'll say that. Not great. I mean, people look at the passing yards and they go, that's incredible. He also threw more passes than anyone in the NFL that year. And then the 21 interceptions. But he's got experience as a starter, so you feel good about that. So that's where I'm at as far as that trade went. Now, Howie also continued to make some other moves here, including Fred Johnson coming back. Absolutely love this. Fred Johnson got some opportunities. Lane Johnson missed a game against the Saints, I think it was last year. Fred Johnson came in, and they didn't miss a beat. Or Lane Johnson, I think, had to leave that game early, if I'm not mistaken. Fred Johnson came in, and then I remember in the fourth quarter, they went with a banged-up offensive line, including Lane not being there, and Fred Johnson stepping in and just kept the status quo. Kept everything the way it's supposed to be. This offensive line being dominant. And when I saw that he did leave in free agency and he went to the Jaguars and signed the one-year deal, I went, okay, well, that's one guy you knew could do the job. I don't like seeing anyone I know can do the job leave. As great as Stoutland University is, as phenomenal as Stoutland University is, I don't like the idea of testing out new people. I'd rather just keep the people that I know work rather well. Fred Johnson works rather well. So I'm very happy to see him come back to Philadelphia. Now, the one thing I will say about the Kyle McCord start is that he did not have the best offensive line in front of him. There was a lot of issues going on there with pressure off the edge there against the New York Jets, which is not an excuse for Kyle McCord at all, but it is an indictment more so of what the offensive line was doing in that game. So that wasn't great. Kyle McCord had a lot of pressure in his face throughout that game. So getting depth at the tackle position in particular, that makes you feel a little bit more warm and fuzzy going into the season. And Fred Johnson's a guy that can come in here and absolutely play at a high level. So I love to see that for him. And you trade a 7th-round pick for him. So, oh, no, Howie. Oh, no. Did he have to give up a 7th-round pick for a guy he could have just signed before he went anywhere else in free agency? Yeah, that happened. But then Howie ended up taking one of the other guys that they had for depth on the offensive line, and Darian Kennard, and ended up shipping him to Green Bay for a 7th-round pick. So they still got a pick back in return. They got a pick back in return in the Sam Howell deal as well. So I'm a happy camper when it comes to these moves, because these were all moves that going into the offseason, going into the regular season, coming out of preseason, you went, okay, can we get a little bit more depth on the O-line? Can we get another backup quarterback? Okay. Well, the Eagles, they were able to do that. They got a quarterback. They got more depth on the offensive line. And they also picked up another pick in the process as well. So feel good about all that. There's one more move that the Eagles need to make. There's one more move that the Eagles need to make. Can anyone take a guess what it is? Can Justin Simmons just become a Philadelphia Eagle already? I know that there's a lot of people, they love Sidney Brown. He's a missile, they love Drew Makuba making, getting 2 turnovers in his only preseason game. Oh, second preseason game. Yeah, no, only preseason game. They love it. They're all about it. I'm encouraged. But the idea of going into the season with Reed Blankenship next to a question mark, who, by the way, will be playing behind another question mark and whoever the starting outside corner and nickel coverage is going to be, I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. And you mean to tell me that you got a safety that has great familiarity with Vic Fangio and Vic Fangio's scheme just sitting out there and could be available on like a 1-year, $4 to $7 million deal type of thing? You can't. No, we're just gonna. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. This is how we're gonna choose to live our lives now, right? Don't like it. You also mean to tell me that when you had a safety that worked well in this system, in Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, you went to a Super Bowl, he went bye-bye, and then he came back and he went back to a Super Bowl and won it. Oh my God, that's incredible. It's funny how that, position is important and stuff. As the moves were going on yesterday, and then, I'm getting the notifications on the phone and all that stuff, I'm looking at it and I'm just like, okay, all right, good. Is there one more? Is there one more deal that this, Howie Roseman could make? Because I'm waiting for it. Justin Simmons signs with the Eagles. When is this happening? Hopefully sooner rather than later. I don't feel good about the safety position. I don't particularly feel great about the outside corner, even with Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell. And then I didn't hear it during the broadcast because Friday night I was pulling double duty. I was doing Phillies postgame and Eagles postgame. Now, how is that possible? I'll tell you. 2 TVs and a sore neck, like a cat watching ping pong. Okay, that's how it was going. So I was listening to the Phillies, and I was watching the Eagles. I basically just wanted to see who was out there and all that stuff. But Ross Tucker apparently said 2 things that got a lot of attention. One of them was, I believe he thought he made up the term Jake the Make. Which, can we say something while we're friends? While we're here, and we're all friends here. Circle of trust and all that. Jake the Make is I hate that name. It doesn't make any sense. Like, I understand what people are saying, but I'm like, there's Jake the Make. Like, we're just, are we just trying really hard not to say Jake the Snake? Because that also wouldn't make a lot of sense. Jake, like, it doesn't exactly roll off the tongue for me. It just feels weird. But the other thing that is far more substantial here is that Ross Tucker referenced a conversation he was having with Vic Fangio, where Vic Fangio talked about Cooper DeJean being a starting safety. Huh? What was that? Come again? What are we doing? I classify Cooper DeJean, and I said this originally in minicamp when it was talked about for Cooper DeJean to be playing 3 different positions. That's great and all. And I think he's the type of player that I classify as a whatever player, which is just kind of like, I always classify it as, hey, I need you to be a nickel. Okay, whatever. I need you to be outside corner. Okay, yeah, whatever. I need you to play safety. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, whatever team needs. Yeah, that's fine, whatever. And it doesn't phase them. Like, there's no mental hurdle they have to get over to play. I think of this a lot in baseball, more so than football, because guys are often, you're not just left fielder, you're also a right fielder, a center fielder, and maybe you're even playing, second base in some instances, which is just bonkers. But just like whatever players, it doesn't phase them. There's no mental gap. Bryce Harper is the perfect example of that. Oh, first base, never done before? Okay, Gold Glove caliber first baseman, done, whatever. Freak athletes is another way to say it. And I think Cooper DeJean is that type of player. But here's what I know. Similar to the offensive line, when I know a guy like Fred Johnson can play, I don't want to see a guy like Fred Johnson leave, even if it's just a depth piece. I don't want to know what Cooper DeJean could do at the safety position if he is a flat-out stud as your nickel corner. Like, last year, we talked all about whether or not We talk all about whether or not I'm blanking on his name. Whether or not Cooper DeJean could go out there and we talk about Saquon Barkley. That's where I was going with this. We talked all about last year at the bye week, Saquon Barkley running more, really trusting the run game. Jalen Hurts not turning the football over. All that stuff. What we don't talk about enough is that Cooper DeJean was like almost like a great acquisition that season. After 4 games, it was like, okay, well, we got this great nickel sitting out there on the sideline there that could be playing, and once he's healthy, watch out. And, well, he started playing, and all of a sudden the season was turned around. Like, I go right there with feeding Saquon, less turnovers for Jalen Hurts, Cooper DeJean being your starting nickel, taking over for our friend Avonte Maddox. That's something that I don't think we talk about enough, how much of an impact he had. So now, what are you going to do? Is Makuba going to go into the slot? Can he stay healthy enough to stay in the slot? Can he stay healthy enough to be on the field anyway? And what, Cooper DeJean's going to go back there and be your starting safety? Is that going to be in base coverage? Is that going to be a nickel? Or a nickel, is he going to be your nickel again and be dominant? So having 3 answers still means you need an answer at every other position that Cooper DeJean is not playing. That is bonkers to me. Absolutely bonkers. I don't doubt that Cooper DeJean could play any of those 3 positions and be good, but I know he's great at nickel corner. I'm sure he's got the mental wherewithal to be a safety and the physical ability there to be an outside corner also. I said going into last year when people were asking, like, what do you think the real future is for Cooper DeJean? I thought it would be at safety. But seeing him dominate as a nickel, yeah, okay, let's stay there for a minute. He obviously has great communication skills and camaraderie with Reed Blankenship. Exciting Mike's podcast. Way to go, boys. Good stuff. But it's one of those things that it's similar to Jeff Stoutland, where you just kind of trust the guy that's calling the shots. Vic Fangio, you're going to trust the guy that's calling the shots. I do think that there's another fix out there. And I know that I would get someone that I know can play the position in Justin Simmons. I know that I'm going to get somebody in Justin Simmons that not only knows how to play the position, but knows how to play the position for Vic Fangio. Oh, and I also get to keep Cooper DeJean at either nickel or outside corner. Of all the moves that I was seeing yesterday, I was waiting for that one more move. And it's still there. Still there if need be. Still there if need be. And I think it's needed. By the way, on that final preseason game, following everything through that game other than quarterback play, for instance, one of the things I really liked just overall was Andre Sam. I just really liked his game. Speaking of guys in the secondary, I really liked his game. I really liked what you saw from him. I thought he was very aggressive. I thought there were other guys back there that were really doing their thing. I mentioned this name on Friday, Perry Nickerson, and what he was bringing to the table for the Eagles. And then he had that incredible interception where he just showed off every ounce of his athleticism. I thought it was incredible. You also saw John Mechie out there, caught a nice pass on, I think it was an out route from Kyle McCord. Kyle McCord was actually going for him down the sideline on that double coverage play, unfortunately. But he had that little play action on the first play to Mechie. Everything was ran perfectly on that. Sam Andre, I mentioned, likes to throw his weight around. Perry Nickerson on a 3rd and 8 had a really nice stop as well, where he came up and made a tackle, and then had the interception late in that first quarter on a 1st and 10. Or no, sorry, that was McCord's interception on the 1st and 10. Nickerson was later in the game. And I really like myself. Mac McWilliams had a nice pass breakup in the second quarter there on a 3rd and 3 play where he showed his aggressiveness. I mean, and really, I just saw a number of guys defensively that were making the best case possible to stay out there on the football field. One of the guys, or stay on the Philadelphia Eagles, that is. One of the guys that I was a little surprised to see dressed. I mean, Uche didn't play, but Ojulari did. Now, as I mentioned, if you're not playing in that game, that's either good or bad. That's either really good or really, really bad. I think in Uche's case, it's really good. But for Ojulari to be out there, they still want to get another look at him. I don't know where else the Eagles would go from the defensive end position, from the edge rusher position, being that they're as thin as they are right now. Ojulari is a guy that's had success playing in the NFL. He's put up some decent numbers in his time. He just can't stay healthy. So maybe the Eagles fall back on that and they say, maybe they fall back on that and they say, all right, well, as far as Ojulari goes, we know he could do it at the NFL level. It's just a matter of really trusting him out there to stay healthy and actually give us production. I don't think he gets cut by any means. I think they're just too thin at the position as of right now. But that's the way I see that working out for Azeez Ojulari. All in all, what I keep falling back to when you get beyond roster battles or anything like that, going into the season, I still just feel really good about the Eagles. And the question marks still very much exist defensively. But even with those question marks, when you have guys on this defense that play at such an extraordinary high level, and the way they play, not just that they're good, but like a guy like Quenyon Mitchell, who's going to be taking the number one target, the number one wide receiver on every team. So the guy that's the best is going to be covered by your best. That makes you feel good about things. And then after that, you look at maybe Cooper DeJean playing the number two or whoever's in the slot. Then you look at Reed Blankenship, game sealing ability and all that stuff, a very good safety. Then you think about Zach Baun. Then you think about Jalen Carter. Even if the defense still has holes, those holes might not be as gaping as other teams that don't have three dominant players at their position on the defensive side of things. And then you also look at Nolan Smith. Imagine if he takes another step forward this year. I mean, Jalix Hunt, obviously. We talked about depth a second ago there with the defense or with the edge rusher position. But you think about the guys that are the anchor of this defense, and they are so damn good that they make the jobs easier of everybody else. So even on the defensive end of things, like, okay, yeah, are there holes? Yeah, are there maybe concerns? Sure, but are they going to be as glaring when you talk about the high level of play from a handful of other players that are going to be big game-changing players on defense? And then you just look over at the offense. It still makes you feel really damn good that you could just give the ball to Saquon Barkley and you can run behind this offensive line and you're going to have a lot of success. You look at the receiving core. I know you could talk about injuries with a groin injury and a hamstring injury with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. But I got confidence they're going to be out there. I don't think that this is going to be any. Look, I know the worry for everybody, and they dealt with similar things last year. Is this going to be nagging? Is this going to be a big concern going through the entire season where you just can't get right? Well, look, every team's got to worry about injuries, obviously. So I'm not going to say that the Eagles are the exception there. But when you go into a regular season and offensively speaking, the only thing you're concerned about is injuries, you feel like that you're going to be pretty damn good. Also, when you talk about injuries, so let's see here. You have a number one clear-cut wide receiver in A.J. Brown. Then you have a guy that threatens to be the number two guy in Devontae Smith, or threatens to be, a number one guy, I should say, as the number two in Devontae Smith. And then after that, just in the wide receiver room, you still got Jahan Dotson. You bring in a guy like John Mechie, which is great. You got depth galore. You can't rely on a clear-cut number one. Well, there's some other guys that are going to fill in nicely in that spot. And then Dallas Goedert, who, yes, when you talk about injuries, you always got to talk about Dallas Goedert. But in a career year, maybe he fights through a couple more this year. And he goes out there and he shows you statistically what he's really capable of in a contract year, playing for some big money next year for Dallas Goedert. And, yes, still Saquon Barkley. You feel pretty good about where this offense is at. And you talk about grading on a curve defensively with the anchors they have there. With the anchor you have as an offensive line, if Sam Howell gets reps at any point this season, you're going to feel pretty good about where he is standing in that pocket with that offensive line in front of him. And yes, again, the fail-safe of Saquon Barkley. So still going into the season, I feel pretty damn good about where the Philadelphia Eagles are. I would like to see one more move potentially here with the Eagles. And in the meantime, wait with bated breath to see where in the next couple of weeks where Cooper DeJean is lining up at practice. If it's the safety position, if it's his outside corner, or whatever. By the way, speaking of outside corner, it looks like Adoree Jackson and Jacorian Bennett are the guys. It looks like Keely Ringo is very much the odd man out in all of it. So that's where you go with that. Your Philadelphia Phillies. Again, I don't like to look at the Washington Nationals as a measuring stick series, but they've been playing much better baseball. And since they moved Wood up to the leadoff spot, I believe the stat is now 14 and 8, I think it is, with him as the leadoff hitter. They took it to the Mets. They took 2 of 4 from the Phillies. They took game 1 against the Phillies in this 3-game series. In dramatic fashion, with Joan Duran came in on Friday and blew the save for the first time as a Philly, third time on the season. I couldn't help but think NBC Sports Philly did a great job of, clearing the ad space to see him and all that, to get him, so you could see the entrance. And then he blew the save. That ad exec at NBC is just like, I moved around spots for this. Anyway, that sucked. But then they bounced back Saturday, and they handled the business. Oh, Aaron Nola pitched Saturday and was good. Hit 94 on the radar gun, which was like, I had to do a double. I had to go back. I'm like, well, hold on a second. Did I say 94? And I still didn't believe it. And I went back on the play-by-play. I was like, oh, 94. There it is. So that was great. The quality start, actually better than the quality start. 6 innings, 2 earned runs. One of them was not earned. But 3 runs in total. Very good. Great to see that from Aaron Nola, especially again with the velocity. He was around 91, 92 most of the game, 93 a couple more times, 94 maybe 3 or 4 times he hit in the game, which was great. Bats were there just enough, obviously. And then yesterday, that was awesome. Ranger Suarez, 7 scoreless, 11 strikeouts for a career high, 21 strikeouts in his last 2 games, 1 run allowed while in the game. I think it was Jordan Romano that allowed that second run for Rangers' 6 2/3 inning performance against the Brewers. But the Phillies went out there, and after game 1, they handled their business. And also yesterday, Ranger Suarez was great. And then Rafael Marchand, it felt like making his first start in a month behind the plate catching Ranger Suarez. He provides all 3 Phillies runs, a 2-run double, and then a bases-loaded RBI walk, which, by the way, was no freebie. It wasn't like a 4-pitch walk. Fouled away a couple of pitches, stayed alive, and he worked that walk for the 3rd and what would be the game-winning run of the game. Because Tanner Banks, I mean, every postcast I got to do a turning point and all that stuff. What was the turning point of the game and all that? And, I could have gone Rafael Marchand's 2-run double, but I didn't. I could have gone Rafael Marchand's base-loaded RBI walk, but I didn't. I went with Jose Alvarado loading the bases. He threw 13 pitches. I believe 5 were for strikes. Not great. Then they went to the bullpen and they said, hey, Tanner Banks, come on in. Bases loaded, nobody out. Clean it up for Alvy, would you? Tanner Banks gets the ground ball double play. Run scores 3-1 now. But he gets the ground ball double play for the first 2 outs of the inning and handles business after that. He was done. That was the turning point because that's when we were all on the edge of the seats going, is this where they blow it? Is this where they blow it? Is this where they blow it? And they didn't blow it. Then Orion Kerkering came into the 3-1 game for the save. Joan Duran not available. And Orion Kerkering gives up a solo home run to make it a 1-run game, and then he gets out of it after that. And the Phillies pick up the win. They pick up the series win. And the New York Mets blow a 2-0 lead, as well as a bases-loaded opportunity in the 9th inning, or 2 runners on in the 9th inning. And they got an RBI single, I think it was, from Juan Soto. It went from a 2-0 Mets game to a 2-2 game to a 4-2 Braves lead to a 4-3 Braves win. And the Phillies are back to being 7 games ahead of the New York Mets in the division, with 3 games coming up against the 3 games coming up here against the Mets in Flushing, New York, starting today. All 7:10 start times. Huge series. Kodai Senga, the ghost baller himself, getting the ball against Christopher Sanchez tonight. This is going to be the series that dictates how we feel until the next time the Phillies face the Mets. And also in between, Monday after Labor Day weekend, by the way, no Farzy show Friday. No Farzy show Friday. Programming note, no Farzy show Friday. Headed down to the beaches with the fam. Getting an early start on that. But yeah, it's going to be pretty wild. You got the Brewers coming up in Milwaukee starting Monday, a week from today. Let's get to the chat. Or before I do that, let me tell you about the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy. You get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. Want to go to the game, the concert, the comedy show? Download the Game Time app, create an account, use promo code Farzy, and get $20 off your first purchase in the Game Time app. How about PHL Sports Station, Philadelphia Sports Station, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's phlsportsnation.com. Let's get into the chat check and see how you wonderful people are doing on this fine, fine morning. Sean Gillespie, hello. Phillies actually won. Cousin. Wayne the Pain, good. One of the movies that really made me want to get in the radio. Good Morning Vietnam. Happy Howie season, everybody. Wayne the Pain says. Kevin, good morning. Good morning. T-Bro, welcome back. Big Fred. Hell yeah. Jerry Von Skyver, hey, bud. Fred Johnson, 6 starts last season, including shutting down Hendrickson in Cincinnati. Getting in for the 7th is a steal. Not sure what the hell the Jags are thinking. Do we ever know what the Jags are thinking? By the way, speaking of the Jacksonville Jaguars, on the Eagle Squad show, me, Jason Martinez, and Harry Mays, we had this epiphany of all these like overseas games that the NFL has. Playing in like Brazil, you know, why Australia? I think. Why? With Nick Sirianni, Vic Fangio, Kevin Patullo, and Big Dom DeSandro, why is there no NFL game in Italy? Eagles, Jaguars in Rome. Eagles, Jaguars in Milan. Why? Why haven't we done that yet? I'll make that trip. Now, as long as the Eagles don't lose a home game, of course. But, Roger Goodell, do I have to do all your thinking for you? Anyway. Sean Vikings love pain. Could have tried to run it back with Darnold. Right? April. I love seeing the Vikings do dumb things, right? Ken Sod, good morning. Good morning. God bless. God bless. But Mark, if Vic really wanted Justin Simmons, he would have been here by now. Maybe. If you're Justin Simmons, I wouldn't sign anywhere. I wouldn't have signed anywhere until about right now. End of camp, injuries, top dollar. Jake the Cake would be weird. Sean Gillespie, you are correct. Jerry Muscaver, the only thing that concerns me with this roster is a lack of depth on the edge. One of those guys go down, which will happen at some point this year. Howie certainly have his eyes open. I agree. Takeem Bond, what, like is a whatever guy? Maybe. Esmond Uche had an injury. You are right. I'm sorry. You're right. I think, yeah, you're definitely right. Uche was one of the guys dealing with an injury. Back issue? Who had the back? Maybe it was. I forget what the injury was, but I think you're right. I think that's why he wasn't playing. Takeem Hill, can Ben Sumerman catch? If so, I'd go with thin tight end. Okay, maybe. The thing with Ben Von Sumer, he had the catch. He caught that one like 11-yard pass on that little sidearm shot from Kyle McCord. Perry Nickerson belongs on this team. I agree. Jerry Von Sky remark, you better bring your floppy hat and sunblock this weekend. My brother-in-law's got to play. It's not on the beach, but it's in the area, that kind of thing. And I think we're doing one beach day. So there you go. Tristan McCullum belongs on this team too. He played a good game as well. He did. Thanks everybody in the chat. You guys are great as per usual. Hey, I got Locked On Sixers coming up for an early taping today. If you guys want to jump over there. Actually, no, that's gonna be released at 10. But I have to tape with Keith Pompey coming up in a second here. But thanks everybody in the chat. You guys are great as per usual. Locked On Phillies postcast tonight, kids. Phillies Mets. I'm very eager for this game. I'm very eager for this game tonight. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Be back with you guys later today on Locked On 76ers. Keith Pompey and I.
Well, that's pretty dope.
You're damn right. Talk to you guys then. Have a great rest of your day.